In this tutorial, we will be learning about the bokeh effect, why we use it, how to achieve this effect, and how to acquire it in your video projects. Let us begin.
We are control. You will be assimilated, or you will be eliminated.
Not while I'm still in town.
Simply put, the bokeh effect is when you have the foreground in focus and the background out of focus, or vice versa. Bokeh is a Japanese word which means haze or blur. So the bokeh effect means blurry effect. You might wonder, if we can get everything in focus at the same time, like an awesome landscape image, why would we even want anything to be out of focus? Well, the bokeh effect works just like the human eye. While it focuses in on one object, other objects go out of focus. Let's try an experiment. Put your finger up to your face. Notice that your eyes focus in on your finger and everything else goes out of focus. It's blurry. This is known as the bokeh effect in film. So the bokeh effect displays on film what our eye naturally does in real life. Also, using the bokeh effect in your video will allow you to achieve the perception of depth. When everything is in focus, the image looks flat. It lacks that three-dimensional field look. When only one thing is in focus, it adds to the perception of depth. Also, using the bokeh effect will allow you to focus in on certain objects or themes. This is a great way to lead your audience to important objects in your shot to help convey your story. Simply put, your audience will pay attention to what is in focus, so you can control what you want your audience to focus on. Your camera lens has everything you need to achieve the bokeh effect, and the number one thing that will affect the bokeh look is depth of field. The depth of field is how much of an area is in focus. The shallower the depth of field is, means less items are in focus, which will allow you to have a greater blurry or bokeh effect overall. The greater the depth of field means more objects are in focus, giving you a lesser bokeh effect overall. The smaller your f-stop number, or larger your aperture, means the larger hole size in the camera lens. This lets in more light, which will allow you to focus a lot of light on a very narrow strip of area, meaning greater clarity for the object in focus and greater bokeh effect for the objects out of focus. Let me translate. The wider the lens is open equals a shallower depth of field, giving you a greater bokeh effect. Your f-stop and aperture are basically the same thing, but it's a complicated subject, which I will be delving into further in future tutorials. For now, just remember the lower your f-stop number means larger your aperture, which allows in more light, allowing greater clarity to your depth of field, which in turn again adds greater contrast to your bokeh effect. We now know what the bokeh effect is and why we would want to use it. Now, let's look at a couple of examples to give you all some ideas on how to incorporate the bokeh effect into your future videos. Here, you can see the subject in focus is the object we want our audience to focus on. The bokeh effect allows us to focus our audience particularly onto that one person. Also, you can see how the bokeh effect allows us to perceive depth by focusing in on a shallow depth of field. Everything else appears blurry, adding to the three-dimensional effect, giving us artificial depth. Inanimate objects, or objects that don't move, are very difficult to film because they are very boring to film. Food and science are great examples of things that are important to film, especially in travel videos, but can be very boring if not done well. The bokeh effect here offers us a way to refocus the audience's attention from background to foreground, and vice versa. This gives some sort of movement for your audience. In this example, you can even see that we switched the attention from the name of the hotel to its location on the beach. This allows us to portray information to our audience without saying anything. La Belle Hotel is a beach resort. Well, there you have it. How to use the bokeh effect in film. Be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. and I look forward to seeing your examples of using the bokeh effect in your future videos. Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for the next James Game tutorial.
Please move on to the following assimilation tutorial. Begin now.